Hello, everybody. I'm George from Ireland, commenting on yet another scandal coming out of MI5. So that's the what is it? This secret service, the United Kingdom's domestic intelligence service, counterintelligence, trying to catch foreign spies and/or domestic terrorists, or sometimes foreign ones too. So it's been going since before the First World War. So it's broken the law in a very serious way yet again. Now, in a way, I'm reassured that they spy. That's what we pay them to do. Might be a bit worried if they didn't, but they've got to spy for a proper purpose, not just because they want to harass people, because they're control freaks, because they want to stalk people or whatever. It's got to be because there is significant evidence of a threat that this person may set off a bomb, shoot somebody, stab somebody, whatever, is trying to harvest secret information and pass it on to a hostile organization. So they have a real purpose, and I'm very much in favor of such an organization existing. In the Irish Republic, we have a similar organization. Just about every country has a domestic intelligence agency, and they are needed. And I realize they do vital work. So they save lives every day. You know, they might have saved my life. If it wasn't for them, I could have been killed in a bomb going off a high street or something like that. But the director, he's got to take responsibility for this. Now, I know the thing I'm referring to, he wasn't director at the time, and obviously grateful to him, like we all should be, for his work in Ulster in the 90s, defeating terrorism, saving freedom and justice so democracy could flourish, keeping Northern Ireland within the United Kingdom. And obviously, the people of Northern Ireland wish to leave the United Kingdom, wish to be absorbed into the Republic of Ireland. Then London has said for a century that that wish will be facilitated. So going back to the actual scandal, and that is MI5 unlawfully spying on Vincent Carney, a distinguished journalist who worked for BBC Northern Ireland for decades. He's now a Northern editor of RTE. In case you don't know, Radio Telefís Éireann, the main television and radio broadcaster in the Republic of Ireland. Obviously, you can receive its signals in Northern Ireland too. So it started out as just Radio Éireann in the 1920s, Telefís and television added in the 1960s. For a while, it was the only channel in the Republic. I know in the eastern half of the Republic, you could get the signal from BBC, maybe in Donegal, probably from BBC Northern Ireland or whatever. So broadcasting most channels in English, some in the Irish language, and so forth. So anyway, he was surveilled by the security services and indeed the police service of Northern Ireland. So the Investigatory Powers Tribunal looked into what had been going on. So the security service, that's MI5, and the PSNI, and actually the Metropolitan Police in London, they had illegally got some of his communications data from his phone. And they've been doing this for years, 2006 to 2014. So this was a flagrant breach of the Human Rights Act, because, you know, the Human Rights Act, that enshrines the European Convention of Human Rights within the UK domestic law, saying that there's a right to privacy of correspondence. You know, so your letters, that's a bit of a hat these days, emails, texts, phone calls, stuff like that, even private conversations, because there could be a listening device wherever. Now, there are exceptions for national security if they have good grounds to believe that someone is involved in terrorist activity or something like that. And you might think that that's not enough, that Vincent Carney, nobody ever suspected him of membership of a terrorist organization, but he's in communication with journalistic sources who might know things. Maybe they should be broadened. Maybe they should have more extensive powers to spy the likes of Mr. Carney. Not that he's plotting anything, but he knows information that would be useful to the PSNI to forfend some terrorist crime to save innocent lives. You might think the law should be changed, but it hasn't been, but it was illegal. So MI5 have got to operate within the law. What's happening to their solicitors? Why aren't they saying, no, we can't do this, it's illegal? You dislike this law? Okay, maybe it should be changed, but that's up to Parliament. It can't be a law unto itself. That is a slippery slope to totalitarianism. So they got a whole lots of his metadata, as in calls and text messages, who he was in contact with. And these were confidential sources and people who told them things for stories often not attributed. Sometimes it was just for background. He wouldn't even use the information to help him write his journalistic reports. Well, usually these things were broadcast. I know there was a BBC website as well. So the police service of Northern Ireland had an intelligence profile on him. Okay, so obviously his name, his address, the registration of his car, members of his family, and so on. So where he was going, who we were speaking to, and so forth. So this is, systemic spying when it was unlawful. And it was not for a legitimate purpose. This was not for the sake of defending national security. It was not crime prevention. So it was actually a crime in itself. The National Union of Journalists has denounced this. There has to be said there be a full public inquiry to see how MI5 is stalking and harassing people. So they'll be very quick to assert their own rights not to be harassed. And they say that. So anyway, Mr. Carney is seeking monetary damages, and he wants a recognition that his rights were violated. So some sort of apology from MI5, but it just keeps happening. So it has a chilling effect on the freedom of the media and protections against this unwanted state surveillance, because how would these people at MI5, how would they feel if they were doxxed, if their public information, their names, their addresses, their photos, their phone numbers, their car registration were published? How would they feel if people were following them, listening in on their phone calls, hacking into their emails, publishing their correspondence, standing outside their house, revealing their location and so on? But there they are doing it to other people. So it's one law for them and another law for everybody else. A bit like Angela Rayner would say, and maybe some of them are Angela Rayner fans. So it is monstrous. And, that's wrong with what's wrong with MI5. And I know they do some good work, but they've also got terrible people in there. They've got murderers who are full-time MI5 officers. They've got people who are taking Class A drugs, even in their 30s, things like that. They've got very dangerous. They've got bigoted people. They've got racist people. They've got sexist people. They've got anti-trans people. So it's just, a basket of deplorables, as Hillary Clinton would say. And what's worse is they employ these people knowing that they've murdered children. I don't mean agents. I mean officers. Full-time career officers, very, very senior ranking career officers, the people who could be head of various departments. So that should trouble anybody that the UK Secret Intelligence Service, Security Service, Secret Intelligence Service, MI6, employs such people. And they don't need to. There are lots of other people they can employ for similar roles, like solicitors and so on. But, they know just how bad these people are, and they employ them anyway. They've clearly taken a side when it comes to genocide, when it comes to sexual violence against children. They'll knowingly employ people who've committed that crime, who will freely admit that they would happily commit these sickening crimes again. So the director must resign, but he's not going to. Why? Why does he still have the support of Keir Starmer when they keep fouling up? Okay. So this geeky guy, how much longer is he going to be there? Well, I mean, obviously, he's got to have protection the rest of his life, 24/7, because there are bad people out there, terrorists. He has to be driven home. Obviously, he's got no idea where he lives. I'm guessing it's some sort of dedicated community. I often wonder whether it was Dolphin Square or somewhere quite close to Westminster. But yeah, he's been there for several years. Time to move on. And I realize in an organization of 3,000 people, of course, they'll screw up occasionally. But this is not occasionally. This was going on for a long time. So there's no limit to how much they can break the law. So why would they clean up their act if they have impunity?